So many women, including myself, did not understand that their menstrual cycle was actually 4 phases and not just them bleeding. Let's go through each phase. So the first phase of your cycle is the menstruation. So that is when you are actively bleeding. Day 1 of your cycle is the first day you are bleeding. So if you are tracking your cycle, day 1 is going to be the bleeding. You are starting to bleed. That is day 1. This is the perfect time to rest. I have endometriosis. Day 1, not a great day. Neither was day 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyway, was not a great time. You have permission to rest during this time. 100% rest. This is like your winter. This is your hibernation stage. Rest. Next is the follicular phase. And so basically, this is when your body starts to get ready to ovulate. It is starting to produce follicles. Your cervical mucus is going to start changing. This is your time to be a little bit more in like the planning, the hopeful, the active stage. This is your body starting to get ready. While your ovaries are getting the follicles ready, your uterus is starting to build up a lining because it wants a comfy home for the embryo, for your baby to grow in. So it is going to build up your uterine lining. This is like the springtime. It's the growth time. It is the time of building up and renewal. The third stage is your ovulation. This roughly happens around day 14. But that's not for everybody. Especially if you have something like PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, your ovulation is going to be all over the place. But this is where if you are trying to get pregnant, charting when your ovulation happens is really important. Highly recommend just getting a bunch of the cheapy ovulation tests to be able to track when you are ovulating and tracking over multiple cycles, because you might find like, yeah, you're not ovulating on day 14, but you are consistently ovulating on day 10. Or you are consistently ovulating around day 16. Being able to track and have an idea of when you're ovulating will give you so much information, because it will let you know what patterns are happening. Because it's not like every single woman has a 28-day cycle. Every single woman ovulates on day 14. That is not how our bodies work. Especially if you have any sort of thing, endometriosis, PCOS, anything like that, your cycles are not going to follow a set day cycle. It's not going to happen. But roughly around day 14, roughly around that mid of your cycle, you are going to ovulate. And this is the point where the follicle reaches maturity and produces a mature egg and releases that egg. During this time, your hormones are going to be through the roof, and you're going to know that you're ovulating. Your cervical mucus is going to be that egg white cervical mucus, and it is going to signal that it is ready to be fertilized. It wants you to have sex. That's what's going to happen. Your libido is going to go through the roof because it wants you to procreate. And after you've ovulated, your window for conceiving is slim. Once you've ovulated, that egg is not sticking around. So if you are trying to conceive naturally, you are going to want to make sure that there are sperm ready and waiting for your egg to be ready to ovulate. So you are going to want to have sex at least a few days before ovulation, and of course the day of ovulation. You want to be able to make sure that the egg is, when it ovulates, there are sperm there. If you're not trying to conceive, then this is just a good time to avoid having sex, especially unprotected sex, because this is your fertile window. This is your peak time to get pregnant. You might have some ovulation pain during this time. It's especially common with people like me that have endometriosis, but it doesn't mean that anything is wrong. This is just your body doing its thing. Now we get to the luteal phase, and this is the fall of your cycle. And basically, this is the time where your body decides, is it pregnant or not? And so if the egg was not fertilized, it's just going to go away into oblivion. If you're like me and you've had a hysterectomy, it's just going to float around in your abdomen and then go away. If you don't have a tube, but you have an ovary. If it's been fertilized, it is going to become an embryo, as long as it's growing properly and turning into the right amount of cells. And that embryo is going to go down your fallopian tube and go and hopefully find a cozy place in your uterus. Because during your follicular phase, your uterus was building up that nice layer of lining. That is where the embryo is going to land and implant itself, create a placenta, and do all its dividing and all its things. When the embryo is implanting, you might have some implantation pain. You might have some implantation bleeding. Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. There's no guarantee one way or the other that you're going to have it or not. Then we cycle back around. If you did not get pregnant, then that lining of your uterus is going to shed, and that is your period. That is your menstrual phase. That is the bleeding, the releasing of your uterine lining to give it a clean slate for the next month. If you did get pregnant, this is when it is time for you to take a pregnancy test. You want to be able to see if you're pregnant and hopefully have a healthy, happy pregnancy. Your luteal phase is roughly about 2 weeks, which is why if you are trying to get pregnant, you'll often hear the term 2-week wait. And that is after ovulation, it takes about 2 weeks for that hormone to produce in your body for a pregnancy test to be positive. Implantation happens a lot sooner than that, but because of the pregnancy hormone needing to double and triple and all that stuff in order for it to register in a pregnancy test, you are not going to know the moment it's implanted. It's just not going to happen. The pregnancy test is not going to pick that up, which is why it's recommended that if you're trying to get pregnant, you wait that full 14 days before taking a pregnancy test. But honestly, I never did that. I was like always wanting to take a pregnancy test at like 7 days past ovulation, sometimes sooner than that, but there was no way that I was going to pick it up like earlier than like 7 days. So at least try to hold out at least a week. And if it's negative, don't get down and think that it's not going to be positive, because until you're past that 14 days, and sometimes even beyond, depending on your pregnancy, depending on your body, there is still hope until that menstrual cycle comes and resets everything, and then you still have a negative test. I wouldn't count on it 100% being negative. So there you have your 4 phases. You have your menstrual phase where you are bleeding, your follicular phase where your body is preparing to be ovulating. It's building up the follicles. It's building up your uterus lining. You have your ovulation phase where your body is actually releasing a mature egg. And then you have your luteal phase, which is the part where either the embryo is implanting or your egg is just floating around in there and doing nothing. And then if you're not pregnant, it leads right back into the menstrual phase. If you have any questions about your menstrual cycle or anything else that might be considered TMI, comment it down below and go check out this other TMI Tuesday video right here.